Tonight is the book of Helaman, chapter 1.
And now behold, it came to pass in the commencement of the 40th year of the reign of the judges over the people of Nephi, there began to be a serious difficulty among the people of the Nephites. For behold, Pahoran had died, and gone the way of all the earth. Therefore there began to be a serious contention concerning who should have the judgment seat among the brethren who were the sons of Pahoran.
All right, so Pahoran was serving as the chief judge, and you may remember from the latter chapters of the book of Alma, he was the one that exchanged letters with Moroni when Moroni was trying to get assistance for the army and so forth. And so Pahoran was the chief judge, and so now, as you can see here at the beginning of the book of Helaman, chapter 1, that now he has died, and so they're trying to determine who the next chief judge is going to be, and so they're looking at his sons, and so that's who they're looking at, right? There's going to be a serious contention as they were looking among the brethren of the sons of Pahoran. So I guess there was a disagreement over who it should be. Apparently it was passed from father to son for lack of another choice, and so that this is what they did here, that they were looking at the sons of Pahoran to figure out which one should be the next chief judge.
Now these are their names who did contend for the judgment seat, who did also cause the people to contend: Pahoran, Panchi, and Pachumini. Now these are not all the sons of Pahoran, for he had many, but these are they who did contend for the judgment seat. Therefore they did cause 3 divisions among the people. Nevertheless it came to pass that Pahoran was appointed by the voice of the people to be chief judge and a governor over the people of Nephi.
There were 3 who were being considered, all right, but so these weren't even all sons, for he had many sons, all right, so he had lots to pick from, but I guess these 3 were the only ones who either were interested or were qualified, or I don't know how they narrowed it down to these 3, but these were the 3. As you can see in verse 3, it says these were the ones that were considered Pahoran, which I guess would be a junior, Panchi, and Pachumini, right, were the 3 sons being considered, right? So, and now because all 3 of them, I guess, had interest and were considered, so they each had their own group of people who were supporting them, kind of like political parties, and candidates today for political office. Each has their own following and their own campaign and so forth, and so I can imagine it was something similar, right? The 3 of them were considered, and then so in 5 the vote was taken, right? Remember, the voice of the people means that they voted, right? They had an election, and so after they counted up the votes, that Pahoran, the son of Pahoran, was chosen to be the next chief governor, or the next chief judge or governor. Okay, so. And for the moment, that keeps it easy, right? Because it's the same name, so Pahoran is still the chief judge, except it's now the son of Pahoran.
And it came to pass that Pachumini, when he saw that he could not obtain the judgment seat, he did unite with the voice of the people. But behold, Panchi, and that part of the people that were desirous that he should be their governor, was exceeding wroth. Therefore he was about to flatter away those people to rise up in rebellion against their brethren. And it came to pass, as he was about to do this, behold, he was taken, and was tried according to the voice of the people, and condemned unto death, for he had raised up in rebellion, and sought to destroy the liberty of the people.
Now to the ones who were not elected, all right, so you see that Pachumini, he was a good sport about it, all right. In 6 it says he united with the voice of the people. In other words, that he went along with the results. He was willing to support his brother as the new chief judge, so that was no problem, all right. But then the other brother was not such a good loser. It says Panchi did not accept the results, all right. So it says he and those who supported him were basically ready to rebel against the government, right, which is not cool. So it says they were going to rise up in rebellion and so forth, and so as a result, this was discovered. There was a trial, and they were sentenced to death. And I think we had spoken maybe last week or so that about the sentence of death for going against the government, and that we equated that to treason, right? If you're plotting to overthrow the government, that's considered treason, and that's punishable by death. But yet you think about it, how difficult it would be that this was his brother probably had to pronounce the sentence, right? So I'm sure that was difficult, but yet if you're sworn to follow the law and follow the rules, then this is what you have to do. Right? So I'm sure in trying to overthrow the governor, that they probably were going to kill him anyway. So I mean, it'd be a little easier, but nonetheless, you see that he had to pronounce execution upon his own brother there. Okay, so Panchi is out of the picture.
Now when those people who were desirous that he should be their governor saw that he was condemned unto death, therefore they were angry, and behold, they sent forth one Kishkumen, even to the judgment seat of Pahoran, and murdered Pahoran as he sat upon the judgment seat. And he was pursued by the servants of Pahoran, but behold, so speedy was the flight of Kishkumen, that no man could overtake him. And he went unto those that sent him, and they all entered into a covenant, yea, swearing by their everlasting Maker, that they would tell no man that Kishkumen had murdered Pahoran. Therefore Kishkumen was not known among the people of Nephi, for he was in disguise at the time that he murdered Pahoran. And Kishkumen and his band, who had covenanted with him, did mingle themselves among the people, in a manner that they all could not be found, but as many as were found were condemned unto death.
Those who were the followers of Panchi, right, he was put to death, but so I said he was out of the picture, but it didn't end the bad feeling of that. Well, we don't want Pahoran to be the governor, so therefore they hired a hitman. Okay, they found themselves a hitman named Kishkumen, right, and so they sent him to kill Pahoran, and he did so. So he murdered him as he sat upon the judgment seat, right, and so they chased him and he got away, and now you see, even they're working together kind of behind the scenes here to hide his identity. And I think it said he was in disguise, right? So that they had like an oath between them that nobody's going to tell who actually was the killer. You can picture almost like a mob thing from today, or that kind of a movie where if you testify against the mob, they kill you. Okay, so therefore suddenly nobody knows anything, and nobody knew what happened, and so this is what's happening here, right? It's very similar, right? They made everybody swear that no one's going to tell that it was him, and since he was in disguise, so he was able to take off the disguise, and nobody really recognized him as the killer. So it would seem that he got away with it at this point, right? He was successful in killing Pahoran on behalf of the followers of Panchi, and then now they're all sworn to secrecy that nobody's going to rat him out as the killer.
And now behold, Pachumini was appointed according to the voice of the people, to be a chief judge and a governor over the people, to reign in the stead of his brother Pahoran, and it was according to his right. And all this was done in the 40th year of the reign of the judges, and it had an end. And it came to pass in the 41st year of the reign of the judges, that the Lamanites had gathered together an innumerable army of men, and armed them with swords, and with scimitars, and with bows, and with arrows, and with headplates, and with breastplates, and with all manner of shields of every kind. And they came down again, that they might pitch battle against the Nephites. And they were led by a man whose name was Coriantumr, and he was a descendant of Zarahemla, and he was a dissenter from among the Nephites, and he was a large and a mighty man.
Now that they had considered 3 sons of Pahoran for the judgment seat, and 2 of them are now dead, so therefore the third one becomes the chief judge. So it says Pachumini was appointed according to the voice of the people to be the chief judge and governor, right? So they did have an election, but I suspect he was running unopposed at this point, right? And who else would show interest when they see what happens to the chief judge, right? But so here, so Pachumini was now elected to be the chief judge, right? And then, as we've said other times, you see now in 14 and 15, the Lamanites decide that now's a good time to attack the Nephites, or to come and wage a war against them. And when you're fighting amongst yourselves is like the worst time for that to happen. As we've said other times, that here all this stuff about the chief judge seat and the hired hitman and so forth. This was all among the Nephite people, right? This was all them doing it to themselves. So here they're infighting and rebelling against each other, and now the real enemy decides, okay, now's a good time to come in and fight a war, right? So as you can see in 14, they gathered up an army, and now they're led by a man named Coriantumr. Coriantumr was actually a Nephite by birth, but he says he was a dissenter from among the Nephites, which means he was one of those who didn't want to be part of that anymore for whatever reason, so he went defected to the other side, and then becomes the leader of the Lamanite army in this case, right? So it says he was a large and a mighty man, so it sounds like he was a good warrior and a good fighter, so he's going to lead the Lamanite army against the Nephites now.
Therefore, the king of the Lamanites, whose name was Tubaloth, who was the son of Amram, supposing that Coriantumr, being a mighty man, could stand against the Nephites with his strength and also with his great wisdom, insomuch that by sending him forth he should gain power over the Nephites, therefore he did stir them up to anger, and he did gather together his armies, and he did appoint Coriantumr to be their leader, and did cause that they should march down to the land of Zarahemla to battle against the Nephites. And it came to pass that because of so much contention and so much difficulty in the government, that they had not kept sufficient guards in the land of Zarahemla, for they had supposed that the Lamanites durst not come into the heart of their lands to attack that great city, Zarahemla.
The Lamanites have a new king named Tubaloth. Tubaloth was the son of Amram, and he was the one who was killed by Teancum when Teancum went into in amongst them by himself. The one night that he went and killed the king, and unfortunately they killed him then, right? But so that's why Amram is out of the picture, and so now his son is taken over as the king of the Lamanites, Tubaloth. Anyway, so he's apparently responsible for hiring Coriantumr to be in charge of the army. He says that he supposed that Coriantumr was a mighty man and he could stand against the Nephites, and he was qualified, so he appointed to be the leader and sent them down to the land of Zarahemla to fight the battle against the Nephites. That's where the governor would live, and that was their primary city, right? Their headquarters, if you will. So as you can see in 18, it says that because of all the contention and difficulty in the government, they're changing chief judges every few days, it seems. All right, so they're kind of in disarray, and so therefore they were not really prepared for an attack on the capital city. Also, they didn't think that that's where the Lamanites would go, because that would be they would think that was the best protected city. So they figure, well, maybe they'll try to pick off some of the surrounding cities, but who would go right into the capital city? And we're not thinking that the Lamanites would attack Zarahemla, but as it turns out, that's going to be the right combination, because they're not really set up right now to properly protect it.
But it came to pass that Coriantumr did march forth at the head of his numerous host, and came upon the inhabitants of the city, and their march was with such exceeding great speed that there was no time for the Nephites to gather together their armies. Therefore Coriantumr did cut down the watch by the entrance of the city, and did march forth with his whole army into the city, and they did slay everyone who did oppose them, insomuch that they did take possession of the whole city. And it came to pass that Pachumini, who was the chief judge, did flee before Coriantumr, even to the walls of the city. And it came to pass that Coriantumr did smite him against the wall, insomuch that he died. And thus ended the days of Pachumini.
This is not a long-term appointment to this job. 19 and 20, it says that now they arrived at the city of Zarahemla as Coriantumr marched forth the head of the army, and it came upon the city, and it says they went with such speed that the Nephites couldn't even prepare in time, so that they swept through the city, they killed anybody who would oppose them, and as you can see in 21, it says finally even Coriantumr killed the Pachumini, who was the new chief judge, and so now the third son of Pahoran has died in this chapter. Okay, so yeah, like I said, this position was probably not one that's going to have the same person in it for very long. Right? But so they've now taken over the capital city of Zarahemla.
And now when Coriantumr saw that he was in possession of the city of Zarahemla, and saw that the Nephites had fled before him, and were slain, and were taken, and were cast into prison, and that he had obtained the possession of the strongest hold in all the land, his heart took courage, insomuch that he was about to go forth against all the land. And now he did not tarry in the land of Zarahemla, but he did march forth with a large army, even towards the city of Bountiful, for it was his determination to go forth and cut his way through with the sword, that he might obtain the north parts of the land. And supposing that their greatest strength was in the center of the land, therefore he did march forth, giving them no time to assemble themselves together, save it were in small bodies, and in this manner they did fall upon them and cut them down to the earth.
Since I guess it seemed easy enough to have taken over the capital city of Zarahemla, so it says, hey, we can go after all the land now. All right, so Coriantumr says he took courage in so much as about to go forth against all the land, because like I said, this was supposed to be the best protected city, and we took it with ease, so we can probably grab any of the cities now that we want. So they started towards the city of Bountiful, which was up in the north, and they figured that they would go there next, right? And then I guess they're going to work their way around, and we usually point out that Zarahemla is like here, and then we put other names of cities around, and so So like Bountiful was up to the north, so I guess they figured that they would take that and just kind of work their way around and take all the surrounding cities around the land of Zarahemla. So that was the plan, and so because they were moving quickly, it says that there was no great army at the moment to oppose them.
But behold, this march of Coriantumr through the center of the land gave Moronihah great advantage over them, notwithstanding the greatness of the number of the Nephites who were slain. For behold, Moronihah had supposed that the Lamanites durst not come into the center of the land, but that they would attack the cities round about in the borders, as they had hitherto done. Therefore Moronihah had caused that their strong armies should maintain those parts round about by the borders. But behold, the Lamanites were not frightened according to his desire, but they had come into the center of the land, and had taken the capital city, which was the city of Zarahemla, and were marching through the most capital parts of the land, slaying the people with a great slaughter, both men, women, and children, taking possession of many cities and of many strongholds.
Moronihah was the son of Moroni, right, who took over for his father in charge of the army when Moroni was going to retire to his home. So that's who Moronihah is. So he's now the leader of the Nephite army. So as you can see in 25 and 26, he was aware the Lamanites were coming, but he assumed that they would not go after the capital city of Zarahemla, but would go for the surrounding cities. So he beefed up the security in the army around all the surrounding cities. So here the Lamanites were able to take the capital city because that's not where the larger part of the army was. But at the same time, now the Lamanites are under the mistaken impression that, hey, this was easy, so the rest of the cities will be easy too. And here, that's where all the army is now, is in the surrounding cities. So they're headed for a showdown at this point, right? And so, as you can see, just 27, they're just kind of making their way now through different cities, and so they're headed really for where the army is posted. So, like I said, there's a showdown coming up here.
But when Moronihah had discovered this, he immediately sent forth Lehi with an army round about to head them before they should come to the land bountiful. And thus he did, and he did head them before they came to the land bountiful, and gave unto them battle, insomuch that they began to retreat back towards the land of Zarahemla. And it came to pass that Moronihah did head them in their retreat, and did give unto them battle, insomuch that it became an exceedingly bloody battle. Yea, many were slain, and among the number who were slain, Coriantumr was also found.
Moronihah, when he heard of the path of the Lamanites, they were headed toward the land bountiful, so therefore now he brought the army to meet them, and so in fact caused them to retreat backwards. So as you can see, they're going back toward the land of Zarahemla, back the way they came from, and but they head them off in their retreat. And so this was the big showdown that I was alluding to, right? That they were finally had the better part of the army to face off with the Lamanite army, and so as you can see, it was a bloody battle. Many were slain, including Coriantumr, who was the leader of the Lamanite army. So at least for this period of time now, it seems that they were successful in heading off this particular attack.
And now behold, the Lamanites could not retreat either way, neither on the north, nor on the south, nor on the east, nor on the west, for they were surrounded on every hand by the Nephites. And thus had Coriantumr plunged the Lamanites into the midst of the Nephites, insomuch that they were in the power of the Nephites, and he himself was slain, and the Lamanites did yield themselves into the hands of the Nephites. And it came to pass that Moronihah took possession of the city of Zarahemla again, and caused that the Lamanites who had been taken prisoners should depart out of the land in peace. And thus ended the 41st year of the reign of the judges.
All right, so they had them surrounded at this point, so they couldn't go to the north, south, east, or west. So therefore, it says, they were captured, the leader was killed. And I mean, in 32, it sounds like almost of course, this is the Nephite record keeper writing, but it says almost like Coriantumr made an error in leading the Lamanites right into the strongest part of the Nephite army, right? Such that now they lost the battle because of that. He got killed, and his army was defeated. People were taken prisoners, and so they kind of made a tactical error. Probably because it was so easy to get the first city. So hey, we can get all the cities now. So they kind of made a tactical error there and wound up losing the whole battle, right? And so as a result, the city of Zarahemla goes back to the Nephites in 33. So they took back the possession of the city of Zarahemla. So this way they were able to then reestablish themselves in the capital city there. And that's how the 41st year of the reign of the judges ends. So this chapter covered 2 years, right? Because it was the 40th year at the beginning, and now it's the end of the 41st year. So yeah, so within a 2-year period, all of this happened, all this death and so forth.